Hi guys, today we will discuss on the topic called how to write logics in ABAP programming. Many of the students are asking me to provide some assignments where they can practice and gain some logical thinking. And before going to further, this session is only for the candidates who are beginners in ABAP, who just started their career in ABAP or just started learning ABAP. So it is meant for only very much beginners, not for experts or not for mid-level developers. So we will discuss on various assignments. I will provide uh, some assignments in every class so that you can practice on it. If you are not able to do it, I will provide the solution also. So without going without doing any delay, just continue with this. This is how to write logics in ABAP programming. So let me start with the first assignment. This is assignment 1. So first of all, I need this type of screen, which we will call it as selection screen, and I need a text like this, something like please enter some number, and some input field where I can enter some number. So I need a screen like this, a selection screen, a text like please enter some number, and where I can enter some number. And if I enter some number, something like 2, for example 2, and execute the program, then 2 table should get displayed in the output. 2 table in the sense like this: 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. So if I enter some number, for example 2, and execute, the output should get displayed like this. Output should be the table of the number that I had entered here. If I enter 2, the 2 table should get printed in the output. If I enter 3, the 3 table we should get printed. Like 3 ones are 3, 3 twos are 6, 3 threes are 9, like this. Whatever number I enter here, that particular table up to 10 rows, it should get displayed. So how to do this? And before that, I also need 2 radio buttons like this, where for one radio button the text will be like normal, and for another radio button the text will be like reverse. So my final requirement is, if I give some number, for example 2, and select the first radio button, that is normal, then the output should be like this, from 2 to 20. But this is for first radio button 1, or else normal. If I select the second radio button and execute the program, then the output should come like this, in reverse mode, like 20, 18, 16, 14, 12, 8, 6, 4, 2, like this. This output is for, is it correct? 3, 6, I think something I had missed. 20, 18, 16, 14, 12, 10 I had missed. Okay, unless the 10 had missed here. So this is for the second radio button, that is for reverse mode. So I think you got the requirement correctly. Design a screen like this with a text like please enter some number, and design some 2 radio buttons with a text like normal and reverse. And the requirement is, if I give any number here and select the first radio button, that number table should be displayed in the normal format. If I select the second radio button, the same table should get displayed in the reverse format. So now if you want to try this, pause this video, try from your end for some time. If you are not able to do this, then again come back and resume the play. So now I will show the solution. So let us go to the server. So it is SC38. Go to Y assignment 1. Click on create. Demo executable program. So now how to achieve this functionality? To begin with, we need a screen like this, right? The first step is you have to design a screen, a selection screen, which looks like this. So we know what is the keyword to design that. Parameters, we can go with parameters, parameter name. Parameter name can be anything. I will take it as P1. Type, data type. Data type I will take it as a character with some length 2. So parameters, parameter name, type, data type. And we need 2 radio buttons also. So create 2 radio buttons. But also we know how to do that. Parameters is the keyword. The syntax is radio button name. Radio button name I am taking it as R1. Radio button name, radio button group, group name. Radio button name, radio button group, group name. So we need 2 radio buttons. I have taken 2 radio buttons. So activate this. Then execute. So got a screen, but I need to change this text. So go back, go to text elements, text symbols. In selection text, you can change the text like please enter some number. For radio button 1, it will be normal. For radio button 2, it will be reverse. So activate this. So execute. Our screen is ready. If you want to design some box for this, you can also do that. So let me write like selection screen, begin of block B1, block name with frame, and selection screen, end of block name B1. So activate this. So now by this the screen was ready. Screen was ready. So now the requirement is if I give some number and select the radio button, I should get the appropriate output. So how to do this? So now what is the output we need? We need the table of the number that was given in the selection screen up to 10 rows. Whatever the number may be, it should begin from 1s are and it should end into 10s are. If I give 2, it should begin with 2 1s are and it should end with 2 10s are. So obviously we need 10 records. means we have to print it 10 times. So what are the different sources or what are the different keywords that we have to print 10 times repeatedly, means loop wise? So obviously we should get loop in our mind. There are few keywords like loop, which rotates as many times as we want. Similarly, there is one more keyword called do, do. Do some n times into. This is also a type of loop which will rotate as many times as we want. So I think for our scenario this will be suitable. So it is fixed that we need 10 records. There is no change in it. It is fixed. So obviously you can go with do loop, that is like do 10 times into. We already know that we need 10 records in the output, so you can loop it for 10 times by using do loop do 10 times and do. And inside this you have to write the logic which will fulfill our requirement. So how to write it? We need a variable to capture the result. Whatever the calculations or whatever the logic I write, to capture that result we have to declare one variable. So declare one variable, something like a, which is of type C. Declare a variable like this. Then what I will say here is a is equal to P1 into SY index. We know what is meant by SY index. SY index is a system variable which will capture the current index value. So what I am doing, I had declared a variable called a, and inside to that variable I am passing the value like this, that is P1 into SY index, and finally I am printing the value of a in the output. Now let us see what will happen. So execute. I am giving number 2 here and execute. I'm getting the output like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20 correctly. Let me give some other number. 3, getting correctly. But how the logic is working here? Let us see in the debugging mode. Just focus on how the logic is getting worked. So here you can see the things we need to focus is on P1, value A, and SY index. So cursor is here, and the loop is getting started. For the first loop, SY index value will be 1. And what is the value that we had given in selection screen, that is 2. So what we had written here, A is equal to P1 into SY index. That means 2 into 1. The value of A will be 2. It will get printed. For the second loop, the SY index value is 2. So 2 into 2. The value of A will be 4. It will get printed. For the third loop, SY index value is 3. So 3 into 2, 6. A value will be 6 and it will get printed. So same story repeats for 10 times. It will get printed for 10 times. So you got the logic. You understood why we had written these two lines. It is having very less code, but it works fine. So now what about the second radio button? So let me assign if condition here. So if R1 is selected, then this logic will get work, else we have to write some other logic. This is for the reverse mode. So how to print the data in reverse mode? Obviously we need the same thing, that is do 10 times, but how to print it in the reverse mode? We need same do loop, same variable a, but you have to print it in the reverse mode. So let me think, even I don't have any idea about this. So do 10 times, it should get printed in the reverse mode. So I will do one thing, I will take one more variable like b, which is of type C. So what I will do is, I have taken one more variable called b, and here I will say like p is equal to sy index minus 1. Will this work? No, because for the first loop sy index will be 1, so 1 minus 1 is technically 0, so it works. So what I will do, let me do one thing. If b is initial, that means if it is empty, I will try to pass the sy index value here. That means if variable b is not having any data, then I am passing the index value into this b. Else, that means if it is having some data, then the value of b will be b minus 1. If it is having some data, then the value of b, I will make it as b minus 1. Why? I will let you know soon when it is working fine, but let me test it up to here. So now I can say like a is equal to p1, just a second, sorry, it's not sy index, it should be 10, because we are printing it in the reverse mode, it should be 10. So now a is equal to p1 into b, then you can write it a. Let us test it up to here whether it is working fine or not. If it not works, then we will change the logic. So go to screen, view number 2, select the second video button, execute. So it is working fine, 20, 18, 16, 14, 27, like this. Okay. Let me use some other number like 3. Reverse. It is working fine, 30, 27, 24, right? It's good. So what's the logic that I had written, how it is working? Let us have an analyzation here. Activate this. The same thing, we need to rotate it for 10 times. So select 2, second radio button, execute. So here can focus on B, A. These are two things on B. So the loop is here, the cursor is here. So if I start now, what we have written here, if B is initial, that means if the variable B is not having any value, then what I am telling, I am passing value 10 inside to this B. So obviously when the loop is rotating for the first time, obviously this variable will be empty. So I will pass the value 10 inside to this B. Then it will go to here. So what is the thing I have written? The value of A will be P1 into B. That means 2 into 10. That will be 20. It will get printed. Then the second time, while the loop is rotating for the second time, what I had written, if B1 is initial, but it is not initial for the second time. Already there is a value called B. That means if it is not initial, it will directly jump into the else statement. And here I had written the value of B will be B minus 1. That means 10 minus 1, that will be 9. So here the value of A will be 2 into 9, that will be 18. So same story repeats for all the rest of the loops. So this is how our logic is working. Okay. See you with another assignment with another logical program in the next video. Keep practicing.